like to thank the organizers for inviting me to be part of this gathering and discussion. I'll try to be very quick. So first of all, I just wanted to show you the map of the ancient India. It is of the 265 BCE when Mauryans were ruling on India, and then we see the next dynasty, that is Kushan. And although we hear of Gandhara from 7 to 6th century BC, even before that, when we read Vedas, and there is the mention of Gandhara, and then we hear it till the time of the coming of the Muslims. But the peak of Gandhara was during the Kushan Empire. So it was this period that we call it Gandhara Civilization. I'm not going to teach you or tell you about Buddhism, but just you can consider just that we teach it in Pakistan to our students in the university. So when we teach them about the Gandhara art or the Gandharan sites, we teach them the basics of the Indian philosophy, and then how we start from the Buddhist point of view. So I'll just tell you very briefly about the basics of Buddhism, and then show you a few slides of art, and then a little bit of symbolism. So it is called the middle doctrine, as you know very well. Buddhism is based on the Vedas, same like Hinduism. It's my opinion. The difference is that the Hinduism follows the Vedas in its every aspect, while Buddhism challenges some of its aspects. So the basic concepts of Hindu philosophy were the self, or Atman, actions, karma, and salvation, moksha. So the philosophy were revolving around these three things. And the most important thing is moksha, the ideal. We can say the highest ideal for Hinduism was moksha. That was substituted by nirvana in Buddhism. So for Buddhism, the highest ideal is nirvana instead of moksha. Just briefly, it was written in a book, and I took this quotation that how the future Buddha, when he was a prince, how he took the lesson of nirvana the first time, when he was looking the common people, and he was looking the sufferings of the people. So in one of his excursions, when he was he was out for an excursion. It is about that. The future Buddha in his splendid chariot, when entered the city with the pomp and magnificence of glory, they enraptured all minds. At the same moment, Kisa Gautami, a virgin of the warrior caste, ascended the roof of her palace and beheld the beauty and majesty of the future Buddha, and her pleasure and satisfaction at the sight, she burst forth into this song of joy. Full happy now that mother is, full happy now that father is, full happy now that woman is, who owns this Lord so glorious. On hearing this, the future Buddha thought, in beholding a handsome figure, the heart of a mother attains nirvana, the heart of a father attains nirvana, and the heart of a wife attains nirvana. This is what she says. But wherein does nirvana consist? And to him whose mind was already averse to passion, the answer came, when the fire of lust is extinct, that is nirvana. When the fire of hatred and infatuation are extinct, that is nirvana. When pride, false belief, and all other passions and torments are extinct, that is nirvana. She has taught me good lesson. Certainly, nirvana is what I am looking for. He decides that very day to quit the household life and to retire from the world in quest of nirvana. After retiring from the world and emancipating for 6 long years, the great being achieved what he was looking for. This event has been mostly related in 3 watches of the night, which are presented below. And after winning entire control over all the methods of trances, he called to mind in the first watch the succession of his previous births. He recalled thousands of them. In the second watch, he gained the supreme divine eyesight, being himself the highest of all who possess sight. With the divine eyesight, he examined the 5 spheres of life and found nothing substantial in existence. In the third watch of that night, he was unveiling the chain of the dependent origination. And after pondering over this causal chain of dependent origination, he reached the conclusion of the cause and remedy of suffering, and therefore he knew properly what is to be known and stood out before the world as the Buddha. So these are the four noble truths. Everyone knows it: suffering, origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to suffering. And what is that path? That is the right view, right thought, right speech, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These have been regrouped like in morality, concentration, and wisdom. So then the chain of dependent origination is also very interesting. That on ignorance, what the Lord Buddha says, that on ignorance depends karma, and karma depends consciousness, and consciousness depends name and form. On name and form depends the six organs of senses. On the six organs of senses depends contact. On contact depends sensation. On sensation depends desire. On desire depends attachment. On attachment depends existence. On existence depends birth. And on birth depends old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, misery, grief, and despair. So what is the remedy? How to reverse it? On the complete fading out and cessation of ignorance ceases karma. If one knows about the Buddhist doctrine, he is no more ignorant. So on the cessation of karma ceases consciousness. On the cessation of consciousness ceases name and form. And on the cessation of name and form ceases the six organs of sense. On the cessation of six organs of senses ceases contact. On the cessation of contact ceases sensation. On the cessation of sensation ceases desire. Then desire ceases, with the cessation of desire ceases attachment. With the cessation of attachment ceases existence. With the cessation of existence ceases birth. And on the cessation of birth ceases old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, misery, grief, and despair. It was just the basic things, just to show you a few episodes from the life of Buddha, and then I'll come back just to tell you about the symbolism of this first episode. This is the dream of Maya, the mother of Buddha, when she dreamt that a white elephant with 6 tusks came to penetrate her body. Then some other scenes like this is the dream, then interpretation of the dream, and some other scenes. This is the birth of the Lord Buddha. He emerged from the same flank where the elephant had entered the body of Maya. You can see it is very important that in every sculpture you will see that Maya is taller than other. Whenever we find the Buddhist sculpture, you will see that Maya has been given more importance. So she is taller than others, even the gods. Like this is Indra, who is receiving Lord Buddha, and it is also very important to see that Lord Buddha is already with hair, with Ushnisha in a halo, even when at the time of his birth in Gandhara art. Attendants, female attendants are here. I'll come back to this photo, and that's why I have shown it together with the birth. This is a Yakshini, a tree spirit, female tree spirit. But she is in the same pose like the Maya. So you can say that as the Yakshini is always cross-legged, and the Maya was also cross-legged when she was giving birth to Buddha. Some other scenes of bath and birth. You can see the different styles, although they are all from Gandhara, but inside Gandhara there are different workshops, you can say, of sculptures. So because of those different areas and workshops, you will see a slight difference of style also. So and then is the Indian art has a kind of characteristic that the artist always tried to use all the available space. So whatever space is available, they have used it. And for example, if the space is smaller, you will find fewer attendants, female attendants, and fewer gods. But if you have a larger space, you will find, for example, these are 3 guards, and these are 3 female attendants. Then there are some other guards from the sky. So the use of space. And another very different style from a different area of Gandhara. The same scene, birth of Buddha. Again, birth of Lord Buddha. Then 7 steps of Lord Buddha. He is flanked by Indra and Brahma. Bath of Lord Buddha, then renunciation from household life and the departure. Then another scene of departure from his home, going to become as ascetic. And the night has been indicated by stars and moon. That is the night time that he is leaving his household life. The great departure, he is leaving on a horse. The horse has been supported by earth spirits. Here you can see the Nagara Devi, city goddess, and Mara trying to stop the Lord Buddha so that he cannot attend the Bodhi. But he didn't stop and went. And then a take of Mara, very beautiful piece from Gandhara. Mara's army attacked, and anyway, Lord Buddha was successful. Then balls were presented to Lord Buddha from the 4 guardians of the direction. Then you can see turning of the wheel of love, the first sermon by Buddha. Then other scenes from his life. This is a miracle, Shiravasti again. Then once Buddha visited the heaven, Tristrimsha, the heaven of the 33 gods, and he preached the law to the gods, and he is sitting in this scene. He is preaching to gods. Then he is descending to earth again and resuming his teachings here to the humans. Then you can see Mahaparinirvana of the Buddha was symbolically represented by a stupa, and later on with the emergence of the image of Buddha, he was shown like this. I go back just to give you a brief symbolism of the first scene, and then I'm not going to talk of all the scenes. So the dream of Maya, before the miraculous conception of the great sage of the Shakyas, or Shakyamuni, to his mother Maya is said to have occurred a thought to follow a somewhat solitary life in a part of the palace, and thus to abstain from any kind of sensual pleasures, and had asked her husband not to long for her, and that he, being happy with her desire of following a life of piety, had arranged for her solitary moments to acquire concentration. It was during this that she conceived the Bodhisattva through a dream. Maya Devi dreamed a white 6-tusked elephant descending from the heaven, entering her body from the right side. And it was this dream after which, according to Ashwagosha, without defilement she received the fruit of the womb, just as knowledge united with the mental concentration bears fruit. She related the dream to her husband, King Suddhodana, who sent for eminent Brahmins to interpret the marvelous dream. According to their interpretation of the dream, a child who has just planted himself in the womb of Maya was destined to either become a Buddha or a universal king, Chakravartan. Maya, the queen of the godlike king, bore in her womb the glory of her race, and being in her purity free from weariness, sorrow and illusion, she set her mind on the sin-free course. Now, why is sleeping Maya? In beauty like Padma, in steadfastness like the earth, she was called Mahamaya, from her resemblance to the incomparable Maya, like how Ashwagosha explains her. Then the noun Maya is related etymologically to measure. It is formed from the root ma, which means to measure or lay out. to produce shape or create to display. Maya is the measuring out or creation or display of forms. Maya is any illusion, trick, artifice, deceit, jugglery, sorcery, or work of witchcraft, an illusory image or apparition. The Maya of the god is their power to assume diverse shapes by displaying at will various aspects of their subtle essence. But the gods are themselves the production of greater Maya. The spontaneous self-transformation of an originally undifferentiated, all-generating divine substance. And this greater Maya produces not the gods alone, but the universe in which they operate. All the universe coexisting in space and succeeding each other in time, the plans of being and the creatures of those planes, whether natural or supernatural, are manifestation from an inexhaustible, original and eternal well of being, and are made manifested by a play of Maya. In the period of non-manifestation, the interlude of the cosmic night, Maya ceases to operate and the display dissolves. Maya is existence, both the world of which we are aware and ourselves who are contained in the growing and dissolving environment, growing and dissolving in our turn. At the same time, Maya is the supreme power that generates and animates the display, the dynamic aspect of the universal substance. Thus, it is at once effect, the cosmic flux, and cause, the creative power. The world is an illusion, and even if not considered a reality or a non-ideal place, is the only way for a Buddha to enter it and propagate the truth about it. A Buddha contains the universe in himself, or better to say, he is the universe, but at the same time he is inside it. He is not a human, as he says in his own word, that he is neither a Deva, nor a man, nor a Gandharva, and nor a Yaksha. So he is not a son to any mother, but he had to come as a son to show the world the way of the truth as a human. Otherwise, they could not have accepted the good law as a possible way to liberation. He at the same time is a son, but in other words, he is a father to all, and so to his worldly mother, Maya Devi. The entrance in the world, which is illusion, and the entrance in Maya, who was a smaller illusion, was necessary for the Buddha to pass on. Why the sleeping is given so much importance? The Maya could have conceived the Bodhisattva without a dream, if the Bodhisattva wanted. But the whole process shows a very meaningful message. The dream was dreamt in a sleep, and sleeping can be symbolized as ignorance. Knowledge arises from ignorance and is perceived in the middle of ignorance, and can be recognized in a better way if the ignorance is known. Knowledge extinguishes ignorance. It is like the light which extinguishes the dark, and the light is easily recognized and in a better way perceived if one knows the darkness. The future Buddha was a potential knowledge, and thus was destined to extinguish ignorance. He was thus light of truth, to extinguish dark or illusion. The death of Maya soon after the birth of Bodhisattva may symbolize the extinguishing of smaller illusion by the light of Buddha, which will later proceed to extinguish the bigger world illusion. The Bodhisattva is also mentioned in text that at the time of his meditation under the Bodhi tree, he was awakened to truth and about his past, present and future. It is like if he was in the state of asleep, and at the time of his meditation he awoke from that temporary dormant state, and thus remembered not only his previous lives but also his task for the search of the remedy to cure humanity. And after remembering everything, he went ahead with more concentration and achieved the light of truth, the truth which showed the way towards liberation from samsara. The liberation from samsara is called nirvana, which should be the goal of every living being according to the doctrine of Buddhism. His worldly birth was a rehearsal of emergence from the darkness to the light, same like his emergence from the body of Maya. Thus he crossed another milestone towards the light of the truth and knowledge. But in the real sense, he was never in a dormant state or in dark or ignorant. All the terms are used to make understand the people who are ignorant are not yet enlightened with the knowledge of truth. Shuddhudana has been kept out of from the scene of the dream of Maya in text, and so also in the art. This cannot be simply ignored. It was the religious conscience of the time that was reflected in the images and in the texts. The demand of the time was to show purity in any level regarding the birth of the future Buddha. According to the text, after the conception, Maya never felt illness or suffering, and she stayed away from her husband, and any impure sensual thought for her husband and from her husband was fettered with the power of the presence of Bodhisattva. Then in this scene there are some Hellenistic elements, and why the elephant has been given so much importance. It is very long, I don't know whether we have time to discuss.
We probably
but anyway, elephant historically is very important, even from the Indus Valley civilization. So it also became a cult later on. And Buddha, when we read the Jataka stories, we see that Buddha was born several times as an elephant. So elephant was very much important. That's why he also opted as an elephant to come to the earth and enter the body of Maya. Then there are 6 tusks, for example, in the texts. There is a mention of 6 tusks of the elephant, but in the art we never see 6 tusks. It's a normal elephant. But there are a number, for example, in the Indian philosophy are denoted to directions, and it have meanings in it. For example, if we talk of 6, it means 4 directions and Nadir and Zenith. It means the Buddha is going to fill the whole universe or have the whole universe. So that's why the number plays a very important role in the Indian philosophy. So that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.